Republican Speaker of the House John Boehner announced his resignation last week after the Pope's address to Congress, and he had a few parting words for the Republican Party. Watch.
This is the part that I really don't understand. You know, our founders gave us the system of government, a majority in the House, you need 60 votes in the Senate. Then, you know, if the House and Senate can agree, the president gets to decide. And our founders didn't want some parliamentary system where if you won the majority, you got to do whatever you wanted. They wanted this long, slow process. And so change comes slowly, and obviously too slowly for some.
Well, are they unrealistic about what can be done in government? That's the dysfunction.
Absolutely, they're unrealistic. But you know, the Bible says beware of false prophets. And there are people out there, you know, spreading noise about how much can get done. I mean, this whole idea that we're going to shut down the government to get rid of Obamacare in 2013, this plan never had a chance. But over the course of the August recess in 2013 and the course of September, you know, a lot of my Republican colleagues who knew it was a fool's errand, really, they were getting all this pressure from home to do this. And so we got groups here in town, members of the House and Senate here in town, who whip people into a frenzy believing they can accomplish things that they know are never going to happen.
So he's actually wrong. He said you need 60 votes in the Senate. No, you actually need, you should have a simple majority. But since everybody tends to, you know, abuse the filibuster, that's why he says we need 60. But he was actually wrong on that. Now, as to the substance of what he's saying against the Republican Party, this was a shot against the Tea Party. Make no mistake about it. This was definitely against the Tea Party, that of course despised him for the audacity of attempting to govern sometimes. That's pretty much it. Now, the fight that was upcoming that now he pretty much gets to avoid is shutting the government down over Planned Parenthood. As I said, he's not going to shut it down. And he actually came out and said, like, there will be no government shutdown. We're going to investigate Planned Parenthood, which, by the way, every state that has investigated Planned Parenthood over these sting videos, which are highly edited and deceptive, every state that's investigated them has come out and said, we found that Planned Parenthood did absolutely nothing wrong. Nothing wrong at all. Now, still Republicans, some Republicans in the very right-wing fringe want to pull their funding, $500 million in federal funding to Planned Parenthood because of these videos. Now, as I said, 2/3 of the American people are against that plan. So if they shut down the government over Planned Parenthood, well, 2/3 of the American people are going to be absolutely pissed off. So now, as I said, this is him. This is John Boehner essentially giving them an orange middle finger, saying, you're not going to shut down the government on my watch. I'm done with you assholes. I'm going to go, so here's my fuck it list. And it involves saying fuck you. I love it. Now, if you remember the last time there was a shutdown, the Republicans, and he's doing this to help his party, by the way, to actually help the establishment Republicans against these radical Tea Partiers. Well, they're saving the establishment Republicans against what would be an absolute PR nightmare in another shutdown over Planned Parenthood. Now, my whole thoughts on the whole departure of John Boehner, well, I think that he is sick of the fighting with the extreme fringe, with the fringes of the Republican Party, the Tea Party. He's sick of fighting with these assholes. And you know what? I would be too. I'd be tired of this consistent, constant challenges to leadership, which, by the way, in part of that interview before, he said, well, look, I don't want to handle it, but I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to put my, you know, colleagues in a position where we're going to have to fight over this, or it's going to be even worse. We're going into election year. Politically, it made a lot of sense. As I said, politically, ton of sense. You get to avoid the shutdown fight. You get to avoid the massive PR hit from 2/3 of the American public saying you guys are crazy for trying to shut down the government over funding Planned Parenthood, which is ridiculous. And actually, the majority of Americans support what Planned Parenthood does. There is, of course, another thing. Maybe he was also just done with the job. I mean, he's not exactly in an enviable position being Speaker of the House, dealing with all the different party members and the different factions within the Republican Party that are vying for dominance, that are, of course, challenging him, everything he has to go through. And plus, he's got to deal with the other side, the Democrats, that he hates dealing with. And on top of that, you have to beg for money about 4 hours every day. I'd get sick of that after a while. I'd want to retire. And look, he's probably going to get a nice job on K Street, relax, sit there, and maybe he'll be a lobbyist himself. Who knows? Now, no matter the reason, and no matter where John Boehner ends up, when it comes to who's going to succeed him when he leaves at the end of October, well, that's going to be fun. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath on the Republican side to decide the next Speaker of the House. And that, for us, at least that's a get your popcorn moment, because it's going to be a lot of fun.